Well, it's the end of August, and it's basically the unofficial end of summer. You know, that time when summer vacation for school wraps up and the kids go back to school. So let's talk about what I have been reading over the summer. Really, May, June, July, and August. It's been a while since I've made one of these videos, so let's talk about what I've been reading over the last several months. That's coming up here on Drew's Book Reviews. Alright, thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about everything that I've been reading over the last 4 months. And of course, as always, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. You know the routine. There's also a Dragon's Den Discord. You can join us over there. Link for that will be below. So I'm going to break this up into each separate month, not necessarily in the order that I actually read these books, but it's been a good summer of reading. I've read a lot of really good books, really enjoyable books. I've been continuing on my rereading through audio and immersive reading, which has been really fun. I didn't actually get through a full book on Audible in the month of May, which is where we're going to start with May. But, you know, we're still going to get through and see what I've been reading over the last several months. Now, of course, I do want to say that I have been rereading or listening to the Stormlight Archive in anticipation of Book 5 coming up in the new year, or in December is when that'll be released. I'm really looking forward to that, and I've been listening to that on Audible. So that is going to be something that I really look forward to getting to. I'm not really including that in it because it's kind of been a slow read, little breaks here and there when I get the chance to listen to it. Hopefully to have the first 4 completed before the release of Stormlight 5. But let's go ahead and talk about the other books that I've been reading over the last several months. So starting with the month of May, I read some Jim Butcher. I finally got back into the Dresden Files and finished up the last 2 Dresden Files on my book that I hadn't, or on my list, on my shelf, that I hadn't gotten to yet. And that is going to be Peace Talks and Battleground by Jim Butcher. These 2 books, oh my god. Just like all other Dresden Files books, so fast-paced, energetic, craziness going on in these books. If you haven't read the Dresden Files, the best urban fantasy ever written, hands down. It's just the best. You really got to check out the Dresden Files. So much fun. So much happens within each and every book. The world of the Fairy and the world of people and the effect of the lore and the conflict between the magical world and our world for those of us who can't see or do magic. It's just wow. Peace Talks, of course, led to Battleground, and as we know, Peace Talks clearly didn't work out, or there wouldn't be Battleground in the first place. But that's all I'm going to say about this. Just wow, incredible reads. Absolutely, hands down, recommend it. One of the other books I got to in the month of May was The Subtle Knife. This is the second book in his Dark Materials. Now, I've already posted the review of this on the channel, so that was last week's video, I believe. So definitely, if you want to know my thoughts in more detail about The Subtle Knife, check that out. Overall, The Subtle Knife was very much a setup for the final book. His Dark Materials was definitely worth a read for me, and I did enjoy the series, as well as The Subtle Knife. The Subtle Knife is actually a pretty cool tool, being able to cut between dimensions and worlds and universes, which is pretty cool. If you've watched the HBO series but haven't read the book, you probably already knew that. If you haven't read the book or watched the series, then, well, now you know that. That's not really a spoiler, but overall, it still was an okay read. Not bad. Definitely worth reading once for me. So check out my review of that. You can see that on the channel. The other one I read in May was from my collection of science fiction and fantasy. It was H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. Now, this was a fun read. So a lot of these older classics can honestly sometimes be dry and boring when you read them. But I found the War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells, was definitely something that really kept my attention, and it was just this interesting idea of what was going on. And of course, it is science fiction, and it's science fiction at this point that's old enough that we know better that this just isn't possible anymore, but it's still fun to read, because definitely there was a time when there was a lot of speculation about, you know, aliens on Mars and that kind of thing. This is what this is all about, and they come to Earth, and, well, it's War of the Worlds, and enjoy it. It's a good classic to read, a fun classic to read. I can't say that about all the ones that are kind of considered classics, but this one I definitely can. It is fun. Check it out. Worth reading. June. So here's what I did in June. So continuing on with the reads flowing into the month of June, another one from the classics of science fiction and fantasy was A Princess of Mars by Rice Edward Burroughs, I believe it was. Edgar Rice Burroughs, A Princess of Mars. So at this point, this is a story that is over a century old. So definitely it is one of the older stories within this book. Well, they're all older stories. That's why they're classics, essentially. But A Princess of Mars, this has kind of in a way like a time travel type story in a way, where our main character somehow magically gets transported to Mars and finds himself amongst this alien culture. And he finds himself getting involved in their lives and becoming part of their society, and of course eventually falling for a Princess of Mars. Interesting idea, and I think it would be a lot of fun to see an adaptation of A Princess of Mars. I'm pretty sure there actually has been, to be honest. I feel like there has been. If there has been, someone let me know. But I feel like there has been. Another classic that I did enjoy the read here, and of course we all know that that's simply not possible. It's just fun, imaginative back, especially seeing the imagination of the science fiction writers of the day and what they imagined could be there on Mars back before we really knew all that much about Mars. And it's actually a lot of fun just kind of seeing that and how it progresses and what those stories are filled with. Fun imagination all around. So that's one of the ones that I did get through in the month of June. So some of the other ones that I got through in the month of June is I finally finished my full read through of Discworld, the entire series. I just finished it up in the month of June and finally finished the whole series with Raising Steam, which is all about the railroad and goblins getting jobs in the railroad and how it transforms the entire world of Discworld into an industrial type revolution due to the invention of the railroad. And this really kind of hits on a lot of ideas, everything from politics to economics to racism. As usual, Terry Pratchett is just doing an incredible job with his Discworld books and exploring these ideas through his humorous and intuitive storytelling, and I absolutely love that about Terry Pratchett's Discworld. I'm going to be rereading Discworld through Audible. At one point, I'm going to read through them all again because it's so worth it. This is a series that I would honestly say is worth watching over and watching. I say watching because sometimes it is like a movie in your mind when you're reading, right? But it's a book series that's worth reading over and over and over and over and over again. So that, along with the final one, The Shepherd's Crown. I gotta be honest, Shepherd's Crown, not the best in this series, but still fun and an interesting read regardless with The Shepherd's Crown. So overall, as far as Discworld is concerned, fantastic series, worth reading through and listening to multiple times. I highly recommend it because it is just fun and entertaining, and oh my gosh, so great read. I can't say enough good things about the Discworld series. It's right up there with so many of my favorites. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't already. One of the other books I got through in the month of June was Book 3 of Blood and Bone, A Time of Courage. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't have a lot to say about this series as a whole, but I really did enjoy this Viking-inspired fantasy series by John Gwynne. I look forward to reading more of John Gwynne. I've got a few more of his books on the shelf I haven't gotten to yet. But overall, I mean, just like gods and demons and angels and everybody just kind of fighting, and it's just fun. And giants, of course, you got giants in there. You got like these massive wolves as animal companions. I love this series. I love the things in this series. It is a good read overall. Although I still struggle to say a whole lot about it, I still really enjoyed this. So Time of Courage by John Gwynne. One of the other ones that I had gotten to. And one of the ones that I finished in a reread took me a little more than a month to get through it, because honestly with my rereads I tend to average about half an hour per day when I'm doing rereads. So I kind of take it really slow on the rereads, just because, you know, new books tend to be my priority for reading. But anyway, I got through Siege of Stone by Terry Goodkind. This is amongst the last in the Nikki Chronicles. There's one more, Heart of Black Ice, after Siege of Stone. So this is a series I'll probably never go back to, and I'll probably at some point actually donate my copies of these books to, I don't know, a thrift store in town or something, because it's not something that I found I enjoyed nearly as much as I did the first time around. And sometimes that happens when you are rereading a series, and it's unfortunate, it happens, but that's the way it is. So Siege of Stone, I got through in the month of June. Alright, so for the month of July, speaking of Discworld, I actually did technically start my reread of Discworld in the month of July with The Color of Magic up via Audible. And second time around, I'm still laughing. The Color of Magic was not considered to be one of Terry Pratchett's best entries into the Discworld, but it is the book, the catalyst, that started everything with Discworld. And I was still found myself laughing at some of the antics these characters got up to in the first book. So eventually I'm going to get through the entire Discworld on Audible again. I actually read this as kind of a filler while I was waiting for the Dune buddy read to start in August, because I didn't want to start a bigger book on Audible for my reread before the buddy read was to start in August. So I kind of put this in as a filler because it is a bit of a short one. But again, second time through, I'm still laughing at this. I still find it hilarious. And Discworld, just funny all around. Like I said, so worth reading. Everything about Discworld is just funny. One of the other books I picked up in the month of July was The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is book 1 of Bloodsworn. I haven't gotten to book 2 of Bloodsworn yet, but definitely I'm going to be continuing. As I understand, there should be 3. I have the first 2. I don't think I have the third one yet. I'm pretty sure there's a third one of Bloodsworn. Anyway, I'm so behind on what's been released when and where. But anyway, the point is, I'm still enjoying this world. I'm still enjoying the fantasy this is inspired. I mean, just the cover, the dragon on the cover. It kind of reminds me of like the dragons from House of the Dragon on HBO. Just these massive, beautiful, scary creatures. I love it. What can I say? I love dragons in my book, especially dragons like this. These are fun. And Shadow of the Gods, you know, again, it's hard to say what I truly love about these, just that I do like these books. I don't have a lot to say, but I don't know, it's just one of those books that you know you like, but you still don't seem that much to say. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but there you have it. Also in the month of July, I finished up The Amber Spyglass, the third book in his Dark Materials series. So finally finished that. As noted before in this video, I did a review of that should be posted. That should have been last week's video. So go check out my review of the whole his Dark Materials series in general, which should be on the channel there. So go check that out if you haven't already. Again, definitely worth a read through once. I don't know if it's something I would do again, but I like the ideas presented within this story. The conflict between religion and science was always an interesting idea to play off of in a fantasy book series, for sure. So that's one of the ones that I finished up in the month of July. Definitely was worth reading once. I don't know if I'll ever get into the Book of Dust series, but I did enjoy his Dark Materials at the very least. And the next book on my list is a book that has actually managed to make it to the banned book list in so many places, most recently in Utah, which honestly is disappointing. I wish that it hadn't been banned. I don't feel like it should be banned, and it's just unfortunate that some of these books end up on banned bookshelves. So that book is going to be Oryx and Crake. So as noted, the state of Utah specifically, and I'm sure a few others have already done this as well, this book has been banned due to its content. Now honestly, it has triggering content. That is absolutely true. There is definitely triggering content in these books with respect to child sex slavery and things like that, and that's so important to know going into this, these books. I don't feel that deserves to be banned, but it's in there. It's part of the story of this book, and it's something to be aware of going into this if you're going to read these books. Personally, this was a really, really good read. This is not a book that is promoting those ideas, but that type of content is contained within these books, within this series. This is just the first in the series in the Mad Adam trilogy, but Oryx and Crake was still just an incredible read. It is a world of genetic engineering in which genetic engineering firms have basically destroyed the world, and it's a post-apocalyptic world now. And I really enjoyed this. It was disturbing in a lot of ways, absolutely. But for me, that was definitely worth it. As a friend of mine, my buddy Epic Tales, once told me, a book that makes you uncomfortable can be a good read. That's kind of paraphrased, but that's the gist of it, and I really enjoyed that. Oryx and Craig. And this, of course, brings us to the month of August. What did I read in the month of August? Or what am I currently reading so far in August? One of the first stories I read the month of August was also from my Classic Tales of Science Fiction and Fantasy collection. It was The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So this story is about the discovery that dinosaurs still roam the earth in a secluded area of South America. So this was a fun adventure of going into this dino world and these prehistoric humans all still living together in this as of undiscovered world within our world, and our characters' adventures to go and see this lost world, essentially. So that was definitely a fun read. Like a lot of the classics in science fiction and fantasy, these stories are actually keeping my attention, whereas some classics haven't done so well with that. These ones certainly have, which I'm certainly enjoying about that. Like a lot of the older stories, particularly The Lost World, this one is more of in the style of just retelling the story. A style of one person sitting down with another person and recounting the events of what happened. So it's kind of that style of storytelling within this, which honestly is not my favorite style, but the narrative still kept me interested as we continue to go through The Lost World and see what actually happened there. But overall, these classics I'm definitely enjoying have been good reads. So I'm really glad that I got this book, and I'm really enjoying these classics of science fiction and fantasy overall. And one of the books I finished in the month of August is, of course, we started the Dune Buddy Read over on the Discord. It's not too late to join us. We're doing this throughout the rest of this year. But we started in the month of August with the classic Dune. I read this one on Audible as an immersive read. The version that I have on Audible is actually multiple different narrators with some backing music popping into the story from time to time, which was a lot of fun as well. I can't say enough good things about Dune. I love Denis Villeneuve's adaptation. I love this story. I love the politics, the philosophy, the ideology, the religiosity, the fanaticism, the economics, the ecology. Just so much about Dune is so amazing. Actually, do have a plan to put out a video review of Dune, my experience with the Audible book as well. So stay tuned for that. I do plan on getting that video out. So definitely check that out. Dune, wow, so good. It is worth the second read through, and probably third, fourth, or fifth read through at some point as well. Just Dune. I cannot say enough good things about Dune. So definitely worth checking out. So what I've also started in the month of August, a book that's been on my shelf for quite some time, and that is Rebecca Roanhorse's Black Sun. So far, I have to say I'm really enjoying this. As I understand, it is a trilogy, so I don't have the second and third books yet on this series yet, but you know, I'm about halfway through as of the day of filming this, and I definitely want to get the rest of the books in this series because I am just really enjoying this. So this has to do with crow gods and sky gods and religion and politics all mixed in together. So far, just really enjoying it. I'll say so far that I don't know how half the names in this book or more are pronounced. So many of these names will start with like the letter X, and it kind of feels a little bit of about South American Aztecian type culture influence, maybe a little bit there. I don't know, maybe I'm way off the mark on that, but that's what it's feeling like so far, but still really enjoyable for Black Sun. So we'll see how I think or how I feel about it once the book read through is completed. Also, what I've started on Audible is a reread of the classic George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones. So I just started a reread via Audible on that. A little bit into it, doing a little bit each and every day through Audible. So Game of Thrones classic, of course, TV series started well, as we know, but as the fan base will tell you, it didn't end so well. But I'm going back to reread the books. It's been a long time, and I've wanted to get back into this at some point. So while I'm waiting for the August Dune, or while I'm waiting for the next book in the Dune Buddy series, Buddy Read to start, I decided to pick up this one a Game of Thrones for the month of August. So far that is what I've been reading this month in August. As of the day of filming this video, there's definitely been a lot that I've read over the summer. It's really been a great summer of reading for me so far. And here's to hoping that it will continue to be a great summer of reading so far, and a great fall of reading, and a great winter of reading, and just a great year of reading. I'd love to hear from you. What have you read over the summer months? How's your reading going? I'd love to hear from you. Join me over on the Discord. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Discord will be linked below. And, you know, as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep on reading. Bye!